Hi everyone, welcome to Tony Renee at Home, Vlogmas edition. Thank you for joining me. Before we get started, please go ahead and hit the like button. It really helps my channel because it shows YouTube that my video is worth being shown to other people. Right now, let's get into the next video. Okay, we are starting with some chicken leg quarters, and all that is the leg and the thigh are still together. They haven't been cut apart. That is a leg quarter. I have really covered them with water quite a bit. This is a pretty big pan. This is a really old pan, and it's my favorite one for making chicken and dumplings. It's not particularly heavy or anything. It's just my favorite pot for making chicken and dumplings. And I am going to add some pepper and some salt. And there's quite a bit of chicken in there. So I'm going to add probably about a tablespoon to 1 to 2 tablespoons, 1.5 tablespoons, I don't know. So that's all you have to do. However, I like to also add some celery seed. That's a small tag label, and I know you can't see that very well. I just like the flavor of celery seed in my chicken. You don't have to use it. And I'm also going to add some poultry seasoning. Don't have to add this either. Again, just enhances the flavor to me. Okay, and that's it. Gonna put a lid on this pan, and I've got it turned on high. And I'm going to let it come to a boil, and then once it does, I'm going to turn it down to a medium-low, closer to the low side, because I want it to cook really slow. I want to keep as much of this broth as possible. I've covered it with a lot of water because I want this broth for the dumplings. I'm not going to use all of this chicken for dumplings. I'm going to save some of it for another recipe that I will show you later. Let's go make the dumplings. Right here in front of me is everything you need to make these chicken and dumplings. All it is, they are egg-based, so some people call them noodles. 1 egg, these are just sitting here. 1 egg, and 1 can of Milnot, or evaporated milk, or carnation milk. Just evaporated milk. Give that a little stir. I do salt and pepper my dumplings so they're not bland. I don't put a lot in there. May have even been just about a ½ a teaspoon. And I put as much pepper as I did salt. You don't have to put pepper at all if you don't want to. And then we're going to start adding flour. I usually start with about 1.5 cups of flour and stir it up. And let that flour get incorporated into that egg milk mixture. I don't remember if I said it. It's 1 to 2 eggs per can of Milnot, however many dumplings you want. I don't want a great big pot. This is going to be probably way more than we need anyway. I said more than we need, not more than we want. Okay, and as that gets mixed in, you just begin adding the rest of your flour. And I do it about 1 cup to 1/2 cup at a time. That's still going to be a little wet. So I'm going to add some more flour. Not even quite a half a cup. That's getting better, but it's still just a little too wet. Whoa, almost dropped that. Let's see how that works. Much better. Okay. Can you see that curve in that spoon handle? Maybe not, but there is a curve in the spoon handle from being used. It's so funny. Okay. Other than what's stuck to the spoon, this is just a ball of dough, just like when we make bread. See how that's just one big ball of dough? And I am going to put everything else away, and I'll come back and we'll finish these. Okay, I have brought out my biggest cutting board, and I have just laid parchment paper over the top of it for no other reason than I just don't want to get this all over my counter to have to clean up, because I want my counter for some other recipes and videos. It's pretty well covered in flour. It is not lightly floured. And I am going to flour my hands and just work some of this flour into this dough because it's still pretty wet. And it's sticking to my hands, so I'm really bad, so I know it needs more flour. I should have taken that thing off. Okay, that will probably do it. I'm not trying to knead the dough, I'm just working this flour into it. And really what I get on my hands when I do this is enough to put on there at this point. If you have it too wet, it's not going to, it's going to fall apart when you put it in the broth. It's not going to stand up to the heat of that and all that broth. Okay. And you know, if you watched my potato soup video, what, Chloe? I don't roll up my dumplings. I just push them out. You don't want to work with this dough a whole lot because they'll be tough. And we also like them thicker. We don't like them really thin. Chloe, what are you doing? We were on our way home from church on Sunday and saw a pretty little white and black cat beside the road. And Adam made the comment that it had been there for about, I don't remember what he said, 3 or 4 or 4 or 5 days. I don't remember what he said. I am not a cat person, but I knew that night it was supposed to rain and turn off very cold, as in down in the 20s. And I just couldn't stand the thought of that little kitten being on the side of the road in the woods there. No houses around. The closest thing was a school. And anyway, like I said, he said it had been there for days. So I got out and I got it to come to me, and we brought it home. And so now Chloe is a part of our family. Okay, I'm just going to leave these here and let them set and kind of rest until the broth is ready and the chicken is done, and then we'll start adding them. I'll see you back then. This chicken is done. So I am going to get it out of this broth and just put it in a 13 by 9. And let it cool. And then I will debone it. I will not throw the bones away. I will reuse them to make some broth. But until I'm ready to do that, I will put the bones in a freezer bag and put them in the freezer for when I am ready to make some more broth. I'm not going to strain this. I'm going to turn it back on high and let it come back to a rolling boil. Oh, goodness. And then we'll add our dumplings. Well, that took less than 5 minutes. Now I'm just going to grab some of the dough from the dumplings, and I'm just going to tear it apart and drop it in there. Nothing fancy. That's all there is to it. Woo! It stuck to my finger. I do them in all different sizes. I'm not trying to keep it a certain size. Sometimes I even bunch them up in a ball and drop it in there. And just keep adding it until all of the dumpling dough is in there. You just cook it until it's done. Just like Grandma used to make. And my mama. And my Aunt Charlene. And now me and my sister. And actually, my oldest son called me one day, who loves to cook, and asked me how to make these, and I told him how to do it over the phone, and he said they were fantastic. So it really is an easy recipe. If I can teach someone to do it over the phone, surely if you're watching me, you can do this. And if they don't come out right the first time, do it again. Once I get all of these in here, I will lower the heat because I don't want to tear them up in this rolling boil broth. But right now, I think I better clean up my hands. All right, I'm going to turn this down to low. I'm going to give it a stir. Ouch, my handle's hot. I'm going to give this a stir. I salted the chicken. I salted the pasta just a little bit. So I am not going to add any more salt at this point because I don't want them to be too salty. And any salt that's left in this broth, those dumplings are going to soak up. So I'm going to wait until they're done or almost done to check and see if they need any more salt. This is a starch, a pasta. So you do not want to put a lid on this and have it tight, because if you do, it's going to boil over. I'm going to set the lid on here, but I'm going to leave a pretty big crack in it. Okay, I will come back when these are done. I almost forgot one of the most important ingredients. My better than bouillon. Crying out loud. I put ginormous amounts of this in here. Probably about a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half. And that's it. But I'm not going to add any water. It's just going to enhance the flavor of the broth that's already in there. And that's another reason I don't add salt right away, because this is salty. Look at that great big one. Yummy. I think this chicken is cooled off enough now that I can handle it. I'm just going to tear it off the bone. Yep, it's still pretty hot, but I'll get it. I would make dumplings and not have chicken at all, but Adam wouldn't be happy. And I do like making him happy. Okay, that is all I'm going to add. That's more than I would have added. Okay, I'm going to grab a bowl and test them. They do need a little more salt. Just a little. Maybe about another teaspoon is all I put in there, a teaspoon and a half. I'm just going to let this cook a little bit longer. I'll see you in a bit. Okay, I am going to call these done. I'm going to turn the heat off. One of my favorite meals to fix is a good old-fashioned country dinner, a big Sunday style dinner with fried chicken and the chicken and dumplings and mashed potatoes and green beans with bacon and onions. Ugh, that is one of my favorite meals. Have some homemade dinner rolls or homemade bread, and an apple pie for dessert. You want to come to my house and eat? That's how I'm going to cook. Because I love to cook for people, and I cook enough for an army. Always do. Okay, that's it for this one. So this wraps up another day of Vlogmas. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and go ahead and subscribe. And don't forget to click the notification bell and be sure and click on all so you'll get all the notifications when I upload new videos. Until the next time, God bless.